In our headlines on this Tuesday, December 30th, here in South Korea, the Lee Jae-myung administration holds its first cabinet meeting at Cheongwade today, during which the president signed into law 2 bills earlier passed by the parliament that continue to cause conflict between the ruling and opposition parties. Meanwhile, in a rash show of unity, lawmakers across the aisle come together for another hearing, this time over a period of 2 days, into Coupang's data protection, labor practices, and corporate governance. And the South Korean stock market is closing trade this year with a remarkable report card as a top-performing market led by chip makers Samsung and SK Hynix. President Lee Jae-myung presided over his first cabinet meeting at Cheongwade earlier on this Tuesday and penned into law 2 bills that have been the cause of much contention at the parliament. Our presidential office correspondent Song Yoo-jin reports.
Presiding over his first cabinet meeting at the Blue House, President Lee Jae-myung described the return from the Yongsan presidential office as a milestone.
청와대 복귀는 헌정 질서 유린으로 얼룩진 용산 시대를 마무리하고 국민 주권과 민주주의가 제자리를 찾았다라는 점을 상징하는 이정표입니다.
His remarks referred to former President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law at the Yongsan office last December. Tuesday's cabinet meeting also drew attention after approving 2 acts passed by the National Assembly last week under the leadership of the ruling Democratic Party. The first establishes dedicated tribunals at the Seoul Central District Court and the Seoul High Court to handle cases related to insurrection, rebellion, and treason. The law takes effect immediately, but ongoing trials will remain with their current judges. This means former President Yoon's insurrection case will continue to be heard by the existing trial panel at the Seoul Central District Court. The cabinet also approved the revised Information and Communications Network Act to curb the spread of fake news.
그냥 누구의 명예를 훼손하는 그런 문제가 아니고 순위 조작하고 이런 거는 업무 방해일 뿐만 아니라 정보 조작이라서 민주주의 체제를 위협하는 행위입니다.
Under the revised law, which will take effect 6 months after promulgation, individuals or media outlets that knowingly distribute such information for profit may be required to pay damages of up to 5 times the actual harm caused. The main opposition People Power Party opposed both bills, launching filibusters, arguing that the special tribunals undermine judicial impartiality, while warning that the revised Network Act could restrict freedom of expression. This was the last meeting of 2025, a year President Lee described as laying the groundwork for recovery and normalization after months of political turmoil. With the president pledging that 2026 will be a year of growth, attention now turns to how the administration will translate this vision into action. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the floor leader of the ruling Democratic Party, Kim Byung-kee, has stepped down amid rampant reports of misconduct. Announcing his resignation earlier this morning, Kim acknowledged that he had fallen far short of the public's expectations. He further emphasized that his resignation was not an attempt to evade responsibility. Kim has been accused of receiving undue privileges, including fine dining paid by former Coupang head Park Tae-jun and a luxury stay at a hotel on Jeju Island paid by Korean Air. He also faces allegations of abusing his authority to secure employment as well as a university transfer for his sons. His wife has been accused of using operating expenses for personal purposes. And at the Parliament on this Tuesday, a second, more comprehensive hearing has been launched into Coupang's broader business practices, including data protection, again in the absence of its founder, Kim Byung-kee. Our correspondent Moon Hae-ryun reports.
A 2-day joint National Assembly hearing opened Tuesday to probe e-commerce giant Coupang's massive data breach, placing the company under intensified scrutiny over data protection, labor practices, and corporate governance. Bringing together 6 standing committees, the rare joint hearing reflected the breadth of concern surrounding Coupang as lawmakers began by focusing on the scope and handling of the data leak. Members revealed a warning email from a former Coupang employee that contradicts the company's claim that only about 3,000 customer accounts were stored and deleted, instead suggesting a far larger data breach. Echoing lawmaker doubts over Coupang's internal investigation, Science Minister Bae Kyung-un said more than 33 million names and email addresses were leaked, citing findings by the Personal Information Protection Commission, police, and a joint public-private probe. The hearing also saw sharp criticism over the absence of key executives, including Coupang founder and chairman Kim Byung-kee, who once again declined to attend. Lawmakers and officials accused the company's leadership of evading responsibility at a critical moment.
The Fair Trade Commission will closely monitor not only the cases currently under review, but also the company's social responsibility going forward.
The proceedings came just a day after Coupang announced a record-breaking compensation package offering 50,000 won shopping vouchers to each of the roughly 33 million customer accounts affected by the breach. The move followed a public apology from Chairman Kim issued about a month after the incident. But politicians dismissed the package as insufficient and self-serving, arguing that it does little to address the anxiety and risk faced by victims.
It feels less like compensation and more like a deceptive promotion, pushing victims to spend more and propping up unpopular services.
Coupang's interim CEO, Harold Rogers, defended the compensation plan, calling it unprecedented in scale and voluntary in nature, and denying that it violates U.S. class action laws. With the hearing to continue through Wednesday, pressure is mounting on Coupang to clarify the true extent of the breach, explain conflicting claims, and demonstrate concrete steps to prevent a recurrence, undergoing calls for stronger penalties and tighter oversight of major platform companies operating in Korea. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Across the border, there have been more shows of military strength by North Korea, and this time its leader Kim Jong-un was at a munitions factory inspecting the production of multiple rocket launchers. Our Park Ko-nu has the latest.
North Korean state media reported Tuesday that leader Kim Jong-un visited a munitions factory that produces multiple rocket launchers capable of carrying nuclear warheads and called for a revolution in modernizing artillery weapon systems. According to the Korean Central News Agency, Kim inspected a major military-industrial enterprise on Sunday, reviewing the production status of multiple rocket launcher vehicles. During the inspection, Kim was accompanied by senior officials, including senior party and military leaders. Kim reportedly said the factory plays a crucial role in implementing the ruling party's strategy to modernize and expand long-range artillery forces, while describing the weapon system as a core strike capability that would significantly strengthen the country's artillery power. He also said it features high precision and a powerful destructive capability and could be used in concentrated strikes during military operations, while praising the North's strength and technology. The visit comes amid a series of recent military-related activities by Kim. Also on Sunday, Kim reportedly observed the long-range strategic cruise missile launch, and the week before, he visited a nuclear-powered submarine construction site. He expressed the need to secure a strong production capacity to meet future munitions goals, which will be presented at the upcoming ruling party's 9th Congress early in 2026. Park Ko-nu, Arirang News.
On the diplomatic front, peace efforts led by the U.S. to end Russian aggression against Ukraine are being marred by the Kremlin's allegation of an attack by Kyiv against one of Vladimir Putin's residences. Ukraine, for its part, has denied any such assault. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
The White House said U.S. President Donald Trump held a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday, continuing high-level diplomacy aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on social media that the call took place just one day after President Trump met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Florida. Leavitt described the Trump-Putin call as positive and said the two leaders discussed the situation in Ukraine, though she did not provide details of the conversation. However, the diplomatic push was complicated by allegations from Moscow that Ukraine attempted a drone attack on one of President Putin's residences in northern Russia. Speaking to reporters on Monday, President Trump said the Russian leader told him about the alleged incident. Trump said he was very angry after learning of the claim and warned that such actions were not helpful during a sensitive phase of negotiations.
It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
Trump said it was a delicate period and stressed that while fighting on the battlefield is one thing, targeting a leader's residence is another, adding that it was not the right time for such actions. Russia later said it would retaliate. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that what he called reckless actions would not go unanswered, saying targets and timing for retaliatory strikes had already been determined. However, Ukraine has denied the allegations. President Zelensky called the claims a lie intended to sabotage negotiations, warning that Russia could use the accusation as justification for strikes on government buildings in Kyiv. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The South Korean stock market is closing its trade for this year with a remarkable report card as a top-performing market. Our Park Jin-an covers its rally in 2025 and its prospects for 2026.
South Korea's benchmark KOSPI made a strong comeback in 2025, inarguably closing at a record high as the world's top-performing index. In 2025 alone, the KOSPI saw a remarkable 75.63% increase, from below 2,400 to 4,214. The market's gain was significant as it far outpaced the 17.4% rise of the S&P 500, which combines the United States' 500 most valuable companies into one index. The KOSPI's rally was predominantly led by semiconductor giants and sectors benefiting from a surge in exports. Mega-cap stocks that outperformed the market included Tusan Enerbility, SK Hynix, Hanwha Aerospace, and Samsung Electronics. The rally was further amplified by massive cash inflows from foreign and institutional investors betting on Korean stocks. Overseas investors poured in record amounts, drawn by the AI-driven rally. Government policies also played a key role in the index surge. These included the Corporate Value-Up Program, a revision to the Commercial Act aimed at enhancing shareholder returns and corporate governance. Starting in 2026, the securities transaction tax on the main KOSPI market will total 0.2%, following the introduction of a 0.05% levy in addition to the existing 0.15% special tax for rural development. Rates for the KOSDAQ, which tracks smaller tech-heavy firms, and KOTC, the Korea Financial Investment Association's over-the-counter market, will rise from the current 0.15% to 0.2%. Heading into 2026, the KOSPI's momentum will need to be sustained through continued government efforts to support the local market, alongside corporate earnings that meet investor expectations. The Korean stock market will be closed on Wednesday and Thursday for the New Year holiday. Trading will resume on Friday with a delayed opening at 10 a.m. due to the annual market opening ceremony. Park Jin-an, Arirang News.
And South Korea's business sentiment has improved to its highest level in 17 months, driven by expanded U.S. manufacturing facility investment and year-end demand in non-manufacturing sectors. According to the Bank of Korea, the Composite Business Sentiment Index rose 1.6 points from November to 93.7 in December. This is the strongest since July last year. However, the outlook for January was down 1.7 points to 89.4 amid cynicism within the non-manufacturing sectors. A reading below the benchmark 100 shows more pessimism than optimism. Hanwha Aerospace has sealed an additional deal to export its 80-kilometer range Chunmoo guided missile to Poland. This latest deal is worth 5.6 trillion Korean won, or some $3.9 billion US. It was inked on Monday local time in Warsaw between Poland's armament agency and a consortium of Hanwha WB Advanced Systems, a joint venture established back in October by Hanwha Aerospace and the Polish defense company WB Electronics. This latest event marks the third stage of a broader arms contract, including two earlier deals sealed in 2022 and 2024 that detail the sale of weapon systems as well as technical support for localized production. The missiles will be produced at the Hanwha WB's production facility that will be built in Poland. Come next year, that is 2026, Korea and France celebrate 140 years of diplomatic relations, and in light of this occasion, cultural exchanges in the form of exhibitions and screen productions have been garnering quite a bit of public attention. Our Oh Soo-young files this report from the City of Light.
Capturing colour and creative energy through art and motion, Korea-France relations continue to broaden through cultural exchange. A contemporary art exhibition in Paris is bringing the works of 34 Korean artists, an eclectic selection from leading galleries and institutions in both countries. The theme is Colours of Korea, incorporating 오방색, the traditional 5 cardinal colours, among a variety of iconic colour tones.
This work behind me is by the late artist Kim Chang-yeol. He's very well known as the water drop artist. But this work was created in the early years of his career, after he had been active in New York and then moved to Paris. So through this exhibition, even visitors who are not very familiar with Korean contemporary art come in and take the time to look at the artists' lives and their artistic practices.
As such, the exhibition aims to build resonance and connection.
French audiences tend to have a very high level of interest in culture, not only in their own, but other cultures as well. Not only young French people, but also those in their 30s and 40s, and even those in their 50s and older, now have a much higher level of awareness of Korea. As a result, interest in Korean culture has grown even further, and this is not limited to one specific field, but appears as a broader overall trend.
The exhibition is one of several programs run by the Korean Culture Center in Paris ahead of the 140th anniversary of diplomatic ties. Film screenings and performances organized by the center also offer ways to engage in Korean contemporary culture. In recent years, Korean cinema and content have gained steady attention from French critics and audiences, with the growth of streaming and online video platforms. Guillaume Legos, who has developed some of France's largest productions, describes the impact.
Completely unique. I mean, Parasite, the movie Parasite. Right. Wow, it was something so new. It was very audacious, the direction, that's for the book, the scenario, and the actors were amazing. So Squid Game is another good example, and I could use the same terms about the success of this specific kind of movie and series.
Legos says the appeal reflects the shared passionate temperament of Koreans and French, and their love for music and drama.
From my experience, we are quite close from France to Korea. I would say that French culture is closer to Korea than many other countries. Even in Asia, I used to say that the Koreans are like the Latin of Europe.
He is hoping to bring more popular Korean content to the French market and stage live French performances in Korea. Legos's revival of the hit musical Le Roi Soleil is completely sold out, with discussions underway about touring in Asia, including Korea.
Well, I'm in discussion now with some producer. We have a partner in Seoul. We did Mozart with him a while ago, and we would like to bring Molière, which was a big success in France and touring now in China. Of course, Le Roi Soleil. I mean, to establish a bridge. And that's also why, that's what I was telling you, I'm really thinking that the French market, well, European market in general, but French market specifically, is really ready to welcome Korean cultural projects.
Such collaborations are set to deepen in 2026 as part of a year of bilateral exchange.
Officials say more than 100 events have been scheduled to celebrate the 140-year milestone, with live performances, exhibitions and film festivals being staged across both countries. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Paris.
And back here in Seoul, sales of merchandise at the National Museum of Korea hit a record high in 2025. According to preliminary data on this Tuesday by the National Museum Foundation of Korea, total sales of the so-called muji items, referring to goods at the museum, stood at close to $28 million thus far this year. This is almost double the amount posted last year. The museum also welcomed over 6 million visitors this year, the highest number since it opened back in the year 1945.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. United States President Donald Trump on Monday warned Hamas it would be eliminated if it refuses to disarm, as he pushed to accelerate the second phase of the Gaza peace plan. Trump issued the warning after talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his Mar-a-Lago home in Palm Beach, Florida. Trump said, quote, "They'll be held to pay if Hamas does not disarm." Hamas disarmament is a core condition of the second phase, which calls for Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, the formation of a technocratic Palestinian government, an international stabilization force, and the start of reconstruction. Trump also warned Iran over reports it may be rebuilding missile and nuclear programs, saying the U.S. would move quickly if such activity is confirmed. China's Air Force, Navy, and missile units are holding joint live fire drills around Taiwan in what Beijing says is a stern warning against Taiwan independence and external interference. China dispatched 89 aircraft and 18 warships on Monday to simulate a total blockade of Taiwan's key ports. Taiwan's aviation authority said flight cancellations and diversions could affect more than 100,000 international travelers as China declared 7 danger zones around the island. Taiwan placed forces on alert and called China, quote, "the biggest destroyer of peace." U.S. President Donald Trump said he was not informed in advance, but was not worried, citing his strong relationship with Xi Jinping. The drills are scheduled to continue through Tuesday with long-range rocket fire in the Taiwan Strait. Bulgaria on January 1st will officially switch its national currency from the lev to the euro. It becomes the 21st country to adopt the euro after meeting strict EU criteria for inflation and budget deficits, giving it a seat on the European Central Bank's rate-setting council. While businesses have already begun displaying dual prices to simplify the transition, the move has split public opinion. Many citizens fear the change will trigger price hikes, but others expect the euro to eliminate currency conversion costs and deepen Bulgaria's integration into the European economy. British boxer and former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua is in hospital after a car crash in Nigeria, which killed 2 members of his training team. The accident on Monday occurred on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway when the SUV carrying Joshua lost control while overtaking and slammed into a stationary truck. Police reports indicate the vehicle was traveling well above the legal speed limit. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu personally called Joshua in the hospital to offer condolences for his team members. Joshua was traveling to visit family in Nigeria for New Year. The crash comes just weeks after his knockout victory over Jake Paul in Miami. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
As we head toward the new year, a fierce cold spell is settling in. A cold wave warning has been issued for the mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province, with cold wave advisories in the northern parts of Gyeonggi-do province and inland areas of Gangwon-do province. Tomorrow, the last day of this year, Seoul will wake up to -8 degrees Celsius, and it will get even colder on New Year's Day, plunging sharply to -11 degrees. Temperatures will stay below freezing all day, so make sure to bundle up. Most areas will start off with sub-zero temperatures tomorrow morning, with Daejeon at -7 degrees, Gyeongju at -5 degrees. Highs will rise to 1 degree in Gwangju, Daegu, and Gyeongju. Skies will be mostly clear tomorrow and the next day, ready for enjoying the New Year's Eve sunset and the first sunrise of the new year. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session. So do stay with us and thank you for now.